I wanted to highlight some tips in relation to the proof of work experience. Some things that you need to ensure that you do, some things you can do, which are optional, and some things that you should not do. There are certain proof that can be utilized to help your application in relation to your proof of work experience. So you can utilize your reference letter, you can utilize a contract that you got or an offer letter that you got when it is that you got the job offer, and you can use pay stubs and tax documents. A major thing that you should remember is to request your documents well in advance. If it is that you're no longer working in an organization and you utilize that job in your work experience, you can go ahead in advance and request that letter, because the letter or the date on the letter does not matter if it's your previous work experience. When you are making that request, you can help yourself and prevent the back and forth and clarifications. So that leads me to another tip. Include a sample of what you would like your letter to look like, the information that you would like to be included in your letter of work experience, especially since IRCC's website outlines what it is that you need to ensure that is included in your letter. So you can make a list, as I mentioned before, and send that list in your request to your employer, previous employer, current employer. These are the things that should be included in the letter. The best thing to do is to send them a sample so that they know exactly what they should have in your letter. And that will prevent, as I said, the back and forth and making requests for them to make corrections and preventing delays that may impact you negatively depending on the time that you have to submit your application. There are instances that you might not be able to get a letter from your former employer. So there are certain things that you can do. As I mentioned before, you can use your offer letter that you got from your organization. You can utilize your employment contract and just make sure that you make a request, you have it in writing, you sent an email. And what you can do to help this application is to simply ensure that you write a letter of explanation and to explain to the immigration officer that you are unable to get that letter, but do not stop there. You have to provide something. So, what I always do, and my husband sometimes might say I like to store junk, I keep every single letter that I got from a job that I ever had. So that letter that they said that you have been offered this job, you can utilize that. That generally should have a job description or something. Save your pay stubs, but do not include pay stubs for the entire 3 years or however long you worked in the company. You can put the first two, the middle two, and the last two pay stubs that you would have gotten before you left that job. Do whatever it is that you need to do to prove to IRCC that you have that work experience that you claim you have. It is your responsibility to prove that you do have the work experience that you put in your Express Entry profile and that you will in turn put in your Express Entry application. Remember, do not make the mistake and take this step, this aspect of your application lightly. If you cannot get a letter from your employer, one other thing that you can potentially do is to ask your supervisor that supervised you while you were working to give you a letter. Make every attempt to get a letter from your employer. If your organization is no longer in existence, they close down, you can probably utilize a former supervisor or somebody that can validate that you actually worked in the organization and you did the work that you are claiming that you actually did in that job. Find a co-worker as well. And those things are last resort. So ensure that you do everything that you can to get the actual letters from the employer. If not, you utilize other avenues to prove that you did work the experience and have the experience that you claim you have. And my final point to you is avoid incomplete letters, avoid letters giving inaccurate information. Incomplete letters will delay your application or may delay your application. Incomplete letters may also cause you to get a rejected permanent residency application. Inaccurate information can also be detrimental to you. I cannot stress enough the importance of accurate information for your express entry profile, for your permanent residency application. Every single document that you're submitting should have accurate details. This can work against you if you lie. It can work against you if you exclude information. So ensure that you do the right thing all the time.